Well, hey there, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is an open mic. Now, this is a little bit different. I actually tried to do the open mic earlier today, had some internet streaming problems, but a whole bunch of you guys had already sent in some live questions, so I wanted to make sure I got those live questions answered, so that's why I'm doing this pre-recorded video. Now, I am on vacation right now. I'm up in Canada at the Campea Ranch, visiting my family up in Canada. And, but you know, I've been getting a lot of tweets and things from you guys saying, let's do some open mics. So that's what we're going to do. Now, I believe I have fixed my internet streaming problem, which means I believe we are going to be able to have open mic starting again tomorrow live, but whether we do or not is yet to be seen, but we'll get around to that. So, like I said earlier this morning, a bunch of you guys did send in a whole bunch of live questions before the stream went dead. So I want to make sure we get around to answering all those. So let's dive right into it and get to the first email, or at least super chat that came in today. And the first one came in today from Darth Impact, who wrote, "Hey John, I remember you and L. Ellis doing the villains tournament. Now that we have Thanos, how would he have done in your opinion?" Okay, so what he's talking about here is for a bunch of years in a row, every year I would do the March Movie Madness tournament. And we did different things: best action film, best animation, and I believe the last one we did was a tournament for best villain. And I believe the winner of that was Darth Vader. So had Thanos been around when we were doing that, how would Thanos have fared? It's a good question. The thing is, it was a really stacked tournament. I mean, there were some really, really big heavy hitter names there, because not only Vader, you had Heath Ledger's Joker, you got Hans Gruber, you got Hannibal Lecter, you went on and on and on. So how would Thanos have done? I easily would have made the Elite Eight. Thanos easily would have made the top 8. Probably, I don't know. I think there's a good chance Thanos would have made the final 4. I don't think he would have won, though. Like, I don't see Thanos beating out either Darth Vader or Heath Ledger's Joker, and I think those were our final 2. So I don't think they get to the final. I don't think Thanos gets to the final, but I think there's a decent chance he gets to the final 4. Automatically, he would be in the Elite 8, no doubt. So I'm going to go final 4. He would have made final 4. Now, let's ask that question again in a few more years, like after a few more years have passed, after we've seen Avengers Endgame, maybe he would move up. For right now, though, I'd say I would put $5 on him making Final 4. So yeah, there's that. All right, let's move on to the next one here. And the next one comes to us also from Darth Impact, who writes, "And I hope you and Anne and your family have a great Christmas and a happy New Year." Well, thank you so much, Darth Impact. Yes, every year I do come up here home, and I get to hang out at the Campea Ranch with the family and see family and friends, and it's great. And Ann and I have had a great time. Actually, Ann and Ray, my brother-in-law Ray, who does most of the graphics for us, Ann and Ray went off with a couple of my sisters today into Toronto. I did not go because I had to stay home and work, but they went off to Toronto to see the sights and sounds of Toronto. Ann's been to Toronto before. I don't think Ray's ever been to Toronto, though. I think this is Ray's first trip into Toronto in his life. So they're out there today visiting up. But thank you so much, Darth. Yes, we have been having a great time here. Thanks for asking. All right, let's move on to the next one. And the next one comes to us from Daniel Joseph. And Daniel Joseph writes, "Best foot chase, Bond chasing the bomb maker through the construction site in Casino Royale." That's a great one. And or Cap and Black Panther chasing Bucky through the Bucharest. Yeah, I got to go with the Civil War one. That thing was nuts. Now look, there are a number of great foot chases. The advantage that the Civil War one has is that it's incredibly iconic, like a group of incredibly iconic characters, not just one iconic character, who also happen to have superpowers. And the way they choreograph that chase, like everything from the way Bucky took the motorcycle from the guy, the way they made it look like Black Panther and Captain America were like outrunning cars, and the jumping from car to car thing. It was so intense and so well designed. Like, it was choreographed perfectly. It was shot perfectly. The techniques they used for the optical illusions were fantastic. On top of the CGI visual effects, it was amazing. Now, some people might say that one shouldn't count because it does use tons of visual effects and because it's a superhero film. And I understand that. But for the sake of Daniel's question, I'm going to allow it, and I'm going to go with the chase in Civil War. All right. Dimsum05 writes, The rooftop scene in the 5-minute Aquaman preview had better music than the actual movie. You know what's funny, Dim Sum? And I just went to go see Aquaman again last night. Every year when I come to Canada, I take my family, like me, my mom, my siblings, I take them all to go see the new Star Wars movie. Obviously, this year, there is no Star Wars movie because there's no Star Wars movie this Christmas. Have to wait till next year. So we decided to go see Aquaman. And I saw it again. And here's the funny thing, Dim Sum. I've heard a number of people praise the soundtrack of Aquaman. I've had a number of people disparage the soundtrack of Aquaman. And I'm still kind of in a place that I don't really notice any of it, except for the poorly placed Pitbull Reigns in Africa remake. That's not good. Aside from that, nothing really stands out to me positively or negatively. So I continue to get guys like you who didn't like the music, some who did like the music, and I'm still kind of like, I've seen the movie now 3 times in theaters, and I can't decide whether I think the music is good or bad. It's just never really jumped out to me either way. So maybe I have to see it 1 or 2 more times. All right. Ben Rayner writes, I am shocked Bumblebee is in my top 10 of 2018. I loved it. Dude, I was so pleasantly surprised. So pleasantly surprised by Bumblebee. I mean, look, it's been forever since we could walk out of a Transformers movie and say, wow, that was good. Bumblebee had heart, had emotion, had character. It was funny. It was exciting. It gave us the G1 designs again. It gave us a lot of things that people were looking for in a Transformers movie, and they did it in a really nice package. And again, a director makes all the difference in the world. You take out Michael Bay, you put in Travis Knight. We knew there was a good potential this would be better than the other Transformers movies. But yeah, even I was surprised how good it was. Like, I really like Aquaman, but I like Bumblebee even more. And yeah, I am shocked too. It might be in my top 10 as well. I'm not 100% sure yet. I got to put together my final list this week, but Bumblebee might actually end up being in my top 10. We'll have to wait and see. All right, let's see here. Lyle Navin writes, had Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2 gotten 27% Rotten Tomatoes, would the MCU have been rebooted? Well, no, it's never just about one thing. There are 3 things. How does it do with the audience? How does it do with the box office? How does it do with the critics? For 1 or 2 films to sink a franchise, you can survive one of those things tanking, right? And while, like, by modern comic book standards, Incredible Hulk did not make a lot of movie, it wasn't exactly a flop for them either. So even if they had really tanked critically, and if I remember correctly, not a lot of critics loved the first Incredible Hulk. Actually, let me just double check that. Incredible Hulk, Rotten Tomatoes. Let me try that again. Incredible Hulk, Rotten Tomatoes. Okay. So Incredible Hulk got, I don't remember it being very high. So let me just double check. 67. So not bad. It got a 67. Not bad. But not exactly, huge critic ovation, but not bad. 67. Not bad. Had it gotten to 27%? It really all depends. I mean, if it still would have made okay money, but the audiences generally liked it, and it really made them stick to their plan, then I don't think so. Iron Man 2, same thing. Iron Man 2 made a lot of money. So when you really get into trouble is when it tanks with the audience, it tanks with the box office, and it tanks with the critics. It's those 3 things. It's never just one thing. So no, at this point, I mean, we'll never know for sure, but I'll go out and say, because the other factors were still there, no, even if Hulk and Iron Man 2 had gotten 27% of Rotten Tomatoes, I don't think the MCU would have abandoned them. Not at that point. I don't think so. They just had too good of a plan in place. All right. Daryl Best Wadley writes, hey, John, I know you're a good Canadian kid through and through, but is there anything you like about America more than Canada? Well, okay, hold on a second. Not really, but me saying not really is not me also saying everything about Canada is better than America. No, not at all. I mean, for most part, Canada and America are so similar, culturally, so similar. There is there are differences in our cultures for sure. There absolutely are. But for the most part, especially pop culture wise, like we're basically identical when it comes to pop culture. So then you come down to a few little things. Weather. I prefer the weather in Canada because crazy me, I like 4 seasons. I mean, who knew? The people, it's funny, whenever I bring Anne here and we're driving around, even that just amazes her. Like, people are courteous to one another here. It's just like, it's crazy. Like, we pull up to a stop sign and somebody's got the right to cross, but they know it'll be faster just for us to go through. And they'll go, no, you go through. You never see that in the States, at least not in LA. So there are little things like that, but for the most part, it's pretty much a push between Canada and the US. For the most part, it's pretty much a push. There are a few things I prefer about Canada and Canadian living. But that's not to say that I like everything more about Canada and Canadian living. Not at all. There's just a few little things. So yeah, I'll say there's nothing I prefer about living in the United States about. But again, that is not to say that I prefer everything about Canada. No, it's most of it is a push. Most of it's a coin toss. So yeah, that's the way I would approach that. I really like living in the States. I really love Los Angeles. I really enjoy living there. Would I prefer to be home? Sure, but who wouldn't prefer to be home? Obviously. But no, I really do enjoy living in LA. All right, let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, is Patrick Wilson's lucky number 64 Watchmen and Aquaman or Rotten Tomatoes 64? Maybe that's his lucky number. I'm sure he would prefer his lucky number to be 91. But then again, maybe it's worse. Maybe his lucky number is 23 or something like that, and that would be worse. And you know, I think those are pretty indicative. The funny thing is, I think Aquaman has gone over better with most audiences than The Watchmen did. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there are some people out there who love The Watchmen and think it's like one of their best comic book movies. Totally understand that. Totally do. But there's also a lot of people who hate Watchmen and thought it was terrible. It was more divisive. Even though Aquaman and Watchmen have pretty much the equal critic rating, I would actually think that Aquaman was probably less divisive. Probably a little bit less divisive than that. And like I said, I've seen Aquaman in theaters now 3 times. I got a big kick out of the film. My number 5, I actually put it ahead. I like Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I like Venom. But I put Aquaman above both of them. And Aquaman actually made my top 5 comic book movies of the year. And movies like Venom and Ant-Man and the Wasp didn't. So that says something. Okay. Ben Rayner writes, Jack Bauer from 24 is the Dominic Toretto for TV. I disagree. Now, here's the thing. It has been a while since I've seen 24. It's been a few minutes since I've seen 24. But I do remember watching Jack Bauer get the crap kicked out of him a lot. Did he usually prevail in the end? Yes. But he took a lot of beatings. And he got duped and he got tricked many, many, many times. See, that's different from Dominic Toretto in the Fast and Furious. Dominic Toretto in Fast and Furious was basically, him taking on 18 Decepticons by himself with nothing but a monkey wrench. He'll take them all out and never take a single shot. So I think Jack Bauer in 24 was different because did he win? Most of the time, but sometimes he lost. And even when he won, he would often get the crap kicked out of him. Nothing like you ever see out of Dominic Toretto. So I will disagree with you on that, Ben. I do not think Jack Bauer from 24 is the Dominic Toretto for the TV universe. All right. Let's go on. SJ writes, thoughts on the Us trailer. So Jordan Peele's new trailer for Us just came out. This is one of those scenarios where a bunch of people saw it before I did and raved like crazy about it. So my expectation level came way up here. And then I watched it and I was like, that's what everybody was raving about? Like, and here's the thing. I thought it's a good trailer. I am interested in this movie. I thought it's a good trailer. But I just heard everybody raving about this trailer at first. And so my expectations level were unrealistically high. I think my expectations levels were unrealistically high. So anyway, I checked it out and I like it. It's good. I'm very excited about seeing it. But, ooh, evil versions of yourselves. We've seen that before, have we not? Like Star Trek did that with the Mirror Universe, with Mr. Spock and evil Mr. Spock. Superman did that with Superman and drunk Superman. And look, the bottom line is a hero has to face off with an evil doppelganger of themselves. We've seen that before. Have we seen it in a straight up horror movie? Did they do it in Evil Dead? I can't remember. Anyway, have we seen it straight in a horror movie like this? No, maybe not. And so it is original on that level. And again, it's coming from Jordan Peele, so I'm very excited about seeing it. I like the trailer. It made me interested. It got me more excited for the movie. It's just that I heard all these people raving about it like it was the best trailer of 2018, and I thought it was good. I just didn't think it was that good. Now, the movie might be even better. The movie might be the best film of the year. We're only talking about the trailer. But anyway, that's my thoughts on the Us trailer. All right. Ryan Fennelly writes, "Hey, John, Harloff recently announced that the Schmodown is now moving away from the place you used to work at. Could we see you return and get that Star Wars belt?" I mean, I don't know. First of all, I appreciate you asking, Ryan. I don't like to make any commentary whatsoever on the place I used to work at for two reasons. One, I just don't care to mention them. But two, and this is really the more important one, is I kind of adopted a personal policy of not mentioning that other place by name. And the main reason for that was that one of the internet's favorite hobbies is taking people out of context and creating drama. And I remember early on, and I'm not going to go into all the exact specifics, but I remember early on, very shortly after I had left the last place, I mentioned the name of the place, and then I mentioned some kind of comment, and somebody on Twitter took that comment because I said the name of the place in with the same comment, they twisted it all up and made it sound like I was creating drama, and nothing could have been further from the truth. And I just remember thinking, that's it. I'm not even going to say the name of the place because I don't even want people to have the ammunition to twist what I say and take what I say out of context in an attempt to try to create drama. I don't want that. So you know what? I'm just not even going to say the name of the place. So that way people can't do that. And it's been funny seeing people try to create drama anyway. Even people who might even quasi be involved to try to drag me into drama, and yet I refuse to get dragged into drama. But as far as that goes, look, I know Christian very well. I've he and I have worked together on a number of things, including starting the Schmodown stuff. And I think it's an incredible thing that he's got. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know anything officially about him moving it away from that place or not. I'll just say, who knows? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I'm a little busy, to be honest with you. One way or the other, I am a little busy to get involved with anything. But never say never, and I'll certainly never say never. Let's see. Curtis Lopez writes, if you want to get crazy, we can get crazy. Perfectly sums up the Us trailer. And again, so many people just thought that Us trailer was so amazing. And it's good, and I liked it. Like, if you're asking people to give something a thumbs up or a thumbs down, I give the Us trailer thumbs up. I didn't think it was all that crazy. I thought it was intriguing. The fact that it's coming from Jordan Peele really piques my interest. But again, it's just the trailer. Let's wait and see the movie. Curtis Lopez follows up with, I've got 5 on it. It has been stuck in my head 48 hours. I've got 5 on it, has been stuck in my head for 48 hours. I'll admit, Curtis, I don't know what it is. I don't know what that means. Sorry, man. It's probably something really obvious and it's going over my head. Curtis also follows up, any cool Christmas gifts you get? I got a number of really cool Christmas presents this year. One was this Canadian Rebel Alliance hat. It's hard to describe or explain, but that is one of the cooler gifts that I've gotten this year. I've gotten a couple great shirts from my mom. I'm not going to say what they are now because I'll show them off on my show. Oh gosh, I'm trying to remember a bunch of the other ones. I've got a real lot of really good gifts. I got some really good gifts this year. So yes, I've been very happy. I was very, very blessed this year. All right. Curtis again follows up with, I also saw Roma and found overhyped and boring. Yeah, look, I'm not going to say Roma is overhyped because people are loving it. I didn't. But just because I didn't like it doesn't mean the hype isn't real. You know, people adore this film. Like, the thing about Roma is, there are critics out there not just saying Roma is like one of their favorite films of the year. There are critics out there saying it is one of their favorite films of all time. And Alfonso Cuarón, what you can see is, from an artistic point of view, he has created a really great piece of art. He really has. But I can do what some other critics do, which is I don't want to be the odd man out here, so I'll say what people want me to say. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it. And I can see that to make a movie like that takes a master's hand. Fine. But not everything is going to be enjoyed by everybody. You can have the world's greatest chef make the best piece of sushi in the world, but, if sushi doesn't work for you, it doesn't matter how good of a chef he is or whatever, it's not going to be something you enjoy. And I like good character-driven dramas. And maybe there's a cultural aspect of, maybe if Roma was almost exactly the same, but it had to do with Canadian people, getting a really good reflection of life in a rural area of Canada and growing up and done, maybe then, because I would have had more of a cultural connection to it, maybe then it would have worked better for me. And maybe because this was one that wasn't connected with me and I had difficulty connecting with it on that level. Maybe that's my issue. I don't know. But I watched Roma, was very excited about Roma, and I wouldn't say it's overhyped. Again, just because I didn't like it doesn't mean it's overhyped. The hype is legit. People are loving this film. It just wasn't for me, unfortunately. All right. I'm Upset writes, chances for another Muppets film in the near future. Ooh, tough. That's tough. For a couple of reasons. Number one, the last Muppet movie did so much worse than the Muppet movie before it. Actually, let me just bring this up here. Muppet movies box office. Let me see if Muppets movies at the box office. All right. So the one that Jason Segel did, which I believe was just called The Muppets, it made $165 million. I think we all love that movie, right? That movie's great. And I think, was that Amy Adams that was in that with them? Anyway, we all love the Muppets movie. That movie was great. Then they followed it up with Muppets Most Wanted. Now, you would have thought, because everybody loved the Muppets with Jason Segel so much, that the next one would make even more money. It dropped by more than half. It actually lost them a ton of money. It only made $80 million worldwide. So that's more than a 50% drop that it took. Then you had, let's see. Oh, nuts. What was the name of the Happy Time Murders? That's it. Happy Time Murders, which, by the way, I thought was great. I thought Happy Time Murders was hilarious and awesome. Hold on a second. Happy Time Murders. Let me see if I can find this here. I thought Happy Time Murders was hilarious and refreshing. Why am I not being able to find it? Is Happy Time one word? Is that why I'm not being able to pull it up? Yep, it was one word. I thought Happy Time Murders was great. Henson Company, involved with that again, lost tons of money. Tons of money. It only made $27.5 million at the box office, had a $40 million production budget, not including marketing and all that kind of stuff. This movie was a major flop. Do I believe the Muppets are dead because of that? No, by no stretch of the imagination. Do I believe we could get another Muppet film in the near future, like in the next 2 to 3 years? Obviously, never say never, but I'm gonna guess it's highly unlikely. I'm gonna guess go for the highly unlikely thing on that. I wouldn't hold my breath for that at all, not in the least. Okay, where am I at here now? Liam Kal-El writes, any news on when Lucifer season 4 comes out? Also, I hope we see more of Azrael. You know what's funny? I was just downstairs and my mom had Netflix on watching Lucifer. I kid you not. She was just down there watching Lucifer. I love Lucifer. That and The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel are probably my two favorite shows on television right now. I cannot wait for Lucifer to come back. All I know is they recently announced they wrapped production on season 4. So that's all I can say for sure, is I know they recently wrapped on season 4. When it's coming, I have no idea. I heard it's in the first half of 2019, but that could be any time now. So if you guys know any more information about when they're saying they may release this damn thing, please let the rest of us know, because I'd love to know as well. All right, let's see here. I'm Upset writes, 5% Rotten Tomatoes for Holmes and Watson outs. Still going to see it? No, I have no desire to see Holmes and Watson. Let me bring it up, because the last time I went over to Rotten Tomatoes to see how Holmes and Watson was holding up, it had a 0. So if it's gone up to 5%, that's a huge jump. Oh my God, it's gone up even more. It's at 6%. 6%, ladies and gentlemen. Who are the people that liked it? I'm just curious if I know them. Let's see. Here's one of the positive reviews from David Edelstein from the New York Magazine. He writes, no brain cells were harmed by Holmes and Watson, just given a few hours to rest and regenerate. So that's a positive review. Hardly positive, but all right. That's one of the more positives. And the other positive review was from an Australian outlet called The Age. It writes, Holmes and Watson is not for everybody, but if you want to see Farrell off the leash, this is the best opportunity in a long time. Okay. So the two best reviews are, this one's not for everybody, and no brain cells were necessarily damaged watching this. Those are your two positive reviews. So it's got 35 reviews in total. 33 of them are negative reviews. 2 of them are positive. So it's got a 6%. You know, here's the thing. I was very excited about seeing this movie. Although, remember, I thought the trailer was terrible. I thought the trailer for Holmes and Watson was awful. But I still want to see it, because the last 2 times these guys made movies together, you had Talladega Nights and one of my all-time favorite comedies, Step Brothers. But then they held the review embargo until the day the movie came out. And I was like, oh, so the studio knows this movie sucks and they don't want word to get out about it. Okay. At that point, I kind of resigned myself that I probably wouldn't see it. But Anne still wanted to see it. And so yesterday, we were driving to go see Aquaman with my family. And Anne's like, I still want to see Holmes and Watson. Let's do that this week. I'm like, are you sure it's getting really bad reviews? She goes, let me look it up. And when she looked it up, it was still at 0%. She goes, oh my God, it's got a 0. I'm like, yeah, I don't even know. Look, I'm in Canada on vacation. There are movies I will take time out to go and see. But, you know, if it's a movie like Holmes and Watson, I got to ask myself, do I want to take 4 hours, 3 hours to drive to the theater, get there, go watch the movie, drive home? Or would I rather just spend 3 hours sitting down, by the fireplace and in front of the TV with my mom and dad watching something on TV? I'd rather do that than see something like Holmes and Watson. So I'll be honest with you, as of right now, I have very little to zero plans of seeing Holmes and Watson. All right. ZOMG Ruler writes, my dad loved Nobody's Fool, wants to know why it's panned, because it's bad. Look, I'm a big Tiffany Haddish fan too. Now, all film is subjective. That means there's going to be films that a lot of people don't like that some do, and films that a lot of people like that some don't. So there's nothing wrong that your dad enjoyed it. Nothing wrong that your dad enjoyed it. Nothing at all. But if you're going to ask me why it panned, even though I'm a Tiffany Haddish fan, I can tell you it panned because it's a bad movie. That's why it panned. And because most people kind of had the same opinion as me. It was a bad film. I was cheering for it because, I've been cheering for Tiffany Haddish ever since Girls Trip, one of my best surprise movies of all time. But yeah, that movie was just not good. It just wasn't any good. All right. John The 1996 writes, hey, John, hope you're having a great holiday with your family. So far, so good. I am having a great time up here. Getting to spend time with my mom and dad is always great, and my siblings as well. And, it's great. And Ray has never gets to come and hang out in Canada. And this is the only time she gets to come up to Canada. It's been great. And I've been enjoying it tremendously. But still want to do some videos. And that's why we're not in my studio. So thank you for that, Jonathan. I really appreciate that. All right. The other black guy writes, why did Marwen get poor reviews? I really enjoyed it. Well, the other black guy's kind of like the whole thing with the last topic we took. You liked it. Great. Why did it get poor reviews? Because everybody else hated it. And that doesn't mean at all that you're wrong for liking it. Not at all. But it got bad reviews because everybody else hated it. And it's one of those things where, much like Holmes and Watson, Welcome to Marwen didn't lift their review embargo till the day the movie came out. Or the day before. That was the first major red flag. Because this was a movie that they should have had a lot of confidence in, you would think, if it was any good. And as soon as I heard that, and I got my invitation to a press screening that was 48 hours before the movie opened. That's always a bad sign. That not only is the review embargo being held, they're not even showing it to the critics until like the very last second. That's a bad sign. And then the reviews started coming out and they were atrocious. And I'm like, okay, so it's one I decided to skip. Because I love Steve Carell so much. I didn't want to have my heart broken by seeing a terrible movie of his. But again, it wasn't the critics so much. It was that the studio announced they had no confidence in this movie by not showing it to the critics till 40 hours before and not lifting in the review embargo to the day over the day before. So, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't like it. That's the subjectivity of film, man. All right. Jonathan 1996 follows up and he writes, here are my favorite movies of this year in no particular order. A Quiet Place, Infinity War, Black Klansman, Upgrade, Love, Simon. Oh, I did enjoy Love, Simon. Mission Impossible Fallout, Black Panther, A Simple Favor. Two really underappreciated films in there, Simple Favor and Love, Simon. Love, Simon was just a great, a lot of people will be tempted to look at that and say, it's a story about a gay kid. No, it's a story about a kid going through stuff. And what impressed me about that movie so much was like making it all very human. And I love that. And I've raved so many times about A Simple Favor. Oh my God, that's probably my surprise movie of the year. Is probably A Simple Favor. Because, again, on its surface, it just kind of looked like a very disposable, quick throwaway little comedy, maybe? I was not prepared for how good that movie was. So I really, really enjoyed it. And as far as my top films of the year, that's coming a little bit later this week. But yeah, obviously Quiet Place is my favorite film of the year. Infinity War is fantastic. Black Klansman's fantastic. Upgrade, I didn't quite like Upgrade as much as most people, but a lot of fun. Love, Simon, Mission Impossible Fallout. Well, I'll tell you right now, Black Panther's probably not my top 10. Mission Impossible's probably not in my top 10. Love, Simon's probably not in my top 10. Black Klansman, Infinity War, and Quiet Place are all definitely my top 10. Simple Favor, I haven't really thought about it. Simple Favor might sneak in there. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Jabin Carter writes, did you see the Vader fan film? I really enjoyed it. Yes, I did. Mainly because a lot of you guys, and by the way, thank you to all of you guys who tweeted me this new Vader fan film that's out. It's really great for a fan film. For a fan film, it's really great. But that's what it is. It's a fan film. So I'll just say it's great. I really enjoyed it. And obviously, it sounds like they're alluding to having, if they get around to doing a part 2, to having a Mace Windu in there. At least that's what it sounded like to me. But if you have not seen it, just search YouTube right now for Vader fan film. It'll be one that just went up in the last week or 2 or 3. I can't remember exactly, but it went up recently. And the production value on it's fantastic. They do for a fan film. It's really exceptional. I enjoyed it a lot. All right. Let's see. The other black guy writes, if I'm not black enough and I'm not wide enough, you probably meant white enough. Then what am I, Tony? Literally, I grew up. Green Book was such a good film. Green Book is so good. Now, here's the thing. One of the things I mentioned before, a bunch of people misinterpreted me when I said, it wasn't quite as good as I was hoping. Some people heard me say that and thought that meant, oh, John didn't like it. No. Nothing could be further than truth. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. It's just that I remember when I saw the trailer for the first time, and maybe some of you guys were watching the John Campea show the first time I talked about the trailer. When I saw the trailer for the first time, I just lost my mind over it. Because, and again, maybe it was unrealistic expectations, but I was like, this movie does not just look like it could be one of the best movies of the year, but maybe one of the best films of all time. Like, I was losing my mind over it. Did it live up to those unrealistic expectations? Do I consider Green Book to be one of the greatest films of all time? No. But that doesn't mean I don't think it's not one of the best movies of the year, and that it isn't brilliant and fantastic. And yeah, I enjoyed it a great deal. And Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali both just crush it. I expect to hear both of those names when Academy Award nominations come out. So keep your ears open for that. But yeah, man, it's so many. It's the thing. Some movies are bad, but they'll have great moments. Some movies are pretty good, but they lack those special moments. Green Book is one of those films that is strong from start to finish and has these really memorable moments thrown in along the way. And that's just one of the things that makes it so special. I loved it. I just really, really enjoyed it. One of my favorite films of the year. All right, it's just not one of my favorite films of all time. Didn't live up to my expectations, so I might have felt a little bit disappointed on that. But that's not to say I didn't totally, completely love it. I did. All right. Eddie Herrera writes, worst marketing job ever. Edge of Tomorrow, John Carter, Bridge to Terabithia, or A Dog's Way Home. Well, here's the thing. A Dog's Way Home is not the worst marketing campaign. It's just literally, it's a trailer that gives everything in the movie away. It gives away your beginning, your middle, and your end. Now, it is possible that all the stuff they showed in the trailer is all from the first act, but it really doesn't feel like it. It feels like they showed us the beginning of the movie, the middle of the movie, and the end of the movie. But that's not necessarily a bad marketing campaign, because I know some people who saw that trailer like, I gotta see that, because they love dogs and they want to go see this thing with the dog. So was it bad? Gave everything away, but it's not necessarily bad because it may actually get people out to see the movie. Same thing with Bridge to Terabithia. Terabithia wasn't a bad marketing campaign. It was just a completely misleading marketing campaign. It was a marketing campaign that tried to lead the audience to believe that this is a fantasy adventure film with children finding a magical kingdom in the woods and blah, blah, blah. And that's not what it's about. It's dark. It's depressing. It has nothing to do with magical kingdoms or anything like that. The child dies, and it's a great movie, but it is not the movie they advertise. But again, that's a misleading advertising campaign, not necessarily a bad one. The other ones you mentioned were terrible marketing campaigns. Edge of Tomorrow and John Carter were both bad marketing campaigns. And interestingly enough, they were both good movies. But the trailers did nothing to highlight the strengths of the film. They didn't do anything that would entice people to run out and see them. And, I'll give the edge to John Carter. The John Carter marketing campaign was the worst one ever. It was just it didn't convince anybody to go see it. And that was a movie worth seeing. I really enjoyed John Carter Mars. Well, sorry, it's a bad title too. But anyway, I really enjoyed John Carter. I really enjoy that. It's a great sci-fi, like a good, pure sci-fi kind of movie, And I thought it was really good. Also, Edge of Tomorrow is fabulous, but both terrible marketing campaigns. I'll give the nod as the worst one to John Carter. All right. Let's see. Static Space Sean writes, do you know how much it costs an AMC to install Dolby screen and sound? It really is the best way to watch a movie. And with A-list, AMC is killing it. Well, yeah, the Dolby cinemas at AMC are ridiculous. How much they cost, I'm sure it's a lot. It's this proprietary dual laser projection system. It's not the screen, it's the projector. And maybe they have a special screen to go along with it too, but the screen's not the problem. The problem's the projector. That's the problem. Also, it's the Dolby cinemas at AMC isn't just a projector, it's a Dolby Atmos sound system. That's expensive to put in there too. So I can't say how much it costs them to put in one. I know it's a lot, but I don't have a roundabout figure. But you're right, with the Dolby cinemas, with the Prime, with the A-list. By the way, did you just hear that they've completed their first year of A-List at they've ended the year with over 600,000 subscribers to it. And like it's with and under its first year of operation. It's fantastic. They really are killing it. I still think the HR department at AMC are amongst the most vilest of demons that walk the face of the earth. A bunch of incompetent fish flopping around like brainless fish flopping around out of water that lack any morals, any ethics, any morality, any sense of right and wrong. They're just a bunch of jackals. That's just my opinion. That's just me stating my opinion that, the human resources over at AMC is a bunch of incompetent jackals. But you know what? Screw them. The rest of the company seems to be doing great, and I hope they continue to kill it. All right. Phil Nguyen writes, aside from Shawshank and Dark Knight, can you think of any Oscar-worthy films I'm guessing you mean Morgan Freeman has been in 20 years? Even $1 Million Baby was just okay. Oh, no. Look, all films subjective. If that's your opinion, no problem. That's your opinion. But I will wholeheartedly object. $1 Million Baby was not just okay. $1 Million Baby is a freaking masterpiece of a movie. Now, your opinion's different, and that's cool. But my opinion is that it is a masterpiece of a movie. Absolute masterpiece of a movie. That movie just rocks the hell out of everything. Like that is some Clint Eastwood at some of his best. So I will disagree with you on that. Aside from that one, Gone Baby Gone comes to mind. That movie's spectacular. I think that was Ben Affleck's first directorial debut was Gone Baby Gone. I think that was like an Oscar worthy. Not that it should have won Best Oscar or whatever, but it's a movie that's worthy to be in the conversation, Also, not everybody loved it, but it was received really well. Was it pronounced Invictus, the one he did with Matt Damon? That was pretty damn good too. So, yeah, he's been in a few. But Shawshank is clearly the king of that crop. I mean, that's the top of the heap for that whole thing. Now, some people might be screaming at your screen right now going, John, what about Unforgiven? That was more than 20 years ago. Fi is only asking about the last 20 years. Unforgiven was more than 20 years ago. But absolutely, Unforgiven wouldn't have to be in the conversation, except that it was more than 20 years ago. All right. Javier Rios 405 writes, what are your thoughts on Vice? Vice was one I was a little late to getting to. It's really good. It's very interesting. And Christian Bale gives a great performance. Actually, not just Christian Bale. Sam Rockwell, Steve Carell, Amy Adams. The cast is fantastic. I found it very interesting. Did it make for a great motion picture, though? I don't know. Like, I came walking out of Vice going, that was good. But not, oh my God, that was good. Like, not, oh my God, everybody's got to see this. Kind of like I was hoping. Yeah, so my thoughts on Vice, good movie, not great. With some really exceptional performances that certainly elevate it, but not elevated enough. So, yeah, it's a good movie. If you've been thinking about checking out Vice, I say check it out. I think you might have a good time. Just don't go in there expecting the best film of the year. That's just my thoughts. All right. Danny Ramuni writes, what happened to David O. Russell? Yeah. 3 Best Director nominations in the 2010s. Nothing since 2005. What did he have? He had Silver Linings Playbook. He had the one with Christian Bale. Something America, Something American, and Amy Adams. Oh, now I got to look it up. Here. Hold on a second. Give me a moment. David O. Russell. Of course, one of my favorite things he directed was Fighter. I thought Fighter was amazing. I'm pretty sure he's the one who directed that. Let me just double check here. Okay, so David O. Russell. The 3 films he was nominated for Best Director for were, I believe, at any rate, definitely Silver Linings Playbook. I know that for sure. The Fighter is the one he did with Mark American Hustle. That's the thing I was thinking of. And it was not, I was thinking of Warrior. He didn't do Warrior. Why was it? It was The Fighter he did. So he did that with Christian Bale. He got nominated for that. Silver Linings Playbook, American Hustle. And then nothing. And I think it was Joy. Now, I don't know this for a fact. This is just me as a film fan doing a little bit of speculating and a little bit of guessing, but he was on this great hot streak. And then he did Joy. And Joy, oh crap here. Let me try this again. Joy did not, I believe, did not do well at either the box office or with the critics. So let me just tell, I think it was positive, but I don't think it was super positive like those other films were. Joy, which had Jennifer Lawrence in it, because he'd been working really well with Jennifer Lawrence, had a 60% of Rotten Tomatoes, so that was a little bit of a hit for him. Then what it did with a Joy box, I'm pretty sure it tanked at the box office. Altogether worldwide, Joy with Jennifer Lawrence, multiple Academy, like Bradley Cooper was in it, Robert De Niro, had basically a reunion of the cast of Silver Linings Playbook, and had David O. Russell, blah, 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 $100 million total on a $60 million budget, not including marketing. That means this is a movie that lost money. And it got panned. Like I said, it had 60% Rotten Tomatoes rating, but the kind of buzz around Joy was like, what happened with Joy? Right? And I cannot help but wonder if Joy for David O. Russell might have been like a Love Guru experience that Mike Myers had. Because Michael Myers, he did that, and it was such a bad experience. Like the reception it got, I think it really hurt him. And he just disappeared from movies forever. And I can't help but wonder when I look at David O. Russell, like he was on such a hot streak, and then all of a sudden Joy happens. And I cannot help but wonder and suspect if that may have soured him. Because I'm sure there was like one movie is not going to make studios shy away from him. I just can't help but wonder. Now, he is executive producing some unannounced TV series, and maybe that's what's taking up his time. Who knows? But I have a feeling that maybe I think he was a bad experience of the reception that Joy got, and that maybe perhaps made him kind of back away from things. Who knows? All right, let's move on here. Ant Banks, 1984 writes, how much money in super chat funds to see you bust out some old school breakdancing movies to African Bambaataa, Planet Rock, and the Soul Sonic Force. Don't forget about the Soul Sonic Force, my friend. Yeah, I used to be a breakdancer. It's true. And you think I'm telling you a joke, right? No, it's not. I used to breakdance. I actually used to breakdance for money. And I won prizes breakdancing. I actually did breakdancing stuff. Yes. There's simply not, I don't believe Super Chat allows you to register a big enough number that would ever make me release one of those videotapes. And by the way, there's not very many of those, there's not much footage of me breakdancing in existence. Because you got to remember, unlike today, or I don't have my phone here, where today we all walk around with global communication devices and video cameras in our pockets. Back then we didn't. Like when I was like in grade school, like grade 8 and grade 9, we didn't have video cameras in our pockets. The best video cameras are these huge machines that took giant VHS tapes and you put it on your shoulder. That was a home video camera. So there's not much home video footage. There's a little bit. Chances that I release that to public, oh my God. None. No chance. Zero. Not going to happen. All right. Cinematic Galaxy writes, what did you think of Hailee Steinfeld's song Back to Life from the end credits of Bumblebee? Felt like an uplifting 80s pop song to me. Thanks. Well, here's the funny thing. I heard that song before the movie came out, and I just like the song. So I can't really give you a good, valid opinion on what I think of the song in context to the movie because I heard it before the movie came out. So I already had the song in my head. So when it played at the end of Bumblebee, it was just, oh yeah, blah, blah. I think it's a great song. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, I am actually becoming a bigger and bigger Hailee Steinfeld fan all the time. Now, first of all, we all liked her in True Grit. I really started to appreciate her with Edge of 17. She was so good in that. And then she was in a not great, what's the a cappella movie? Why am I forgetting the name of the a cappella singing movies? Damn it. Why am I forgetting the name of those movies? There's 3 of them. hold on a second. Hailee. Why can I not? I'm looking at the poster in my head and I cannot. Okay, I'll second. Let me see what I can get here. Now I got to look it up. I hate when I get these brain freezes. Bumblebee. All right. No, not Bumblebee. That's not what I'm looking for. It's Hailee. And the singing. All you guys know the movies I'm talking about, and you're screaming the name of them at the TV things. Pitch Perfect. Thank you. So she's in these Pitch Perfect films, and they're not good. Like, the first one was really good. The other two were throwaway. But that's when I really realized, oh my God, this girl can really sing. And she can. She's like a totally badass singer. And I just love her. And I thought she was really good in Bumblebee. And I'll tell you what, I am becoming a bigger and bigger Hailee Steinfeld fan all the time. By the way, if you have not seen Edge of 17 that she did with Woody Harrelson, and I know a lot of you haven't seen it because it made like no money at the box office, do everybody a favor, including yourself. See that movie. Rent that movie. Her and Woody Harrelson in that movie are hilarious. It's heartfelt and it's hilarious. Check it out and you'll have, if you're not a fan of hers right now, you will be after you see this movie. I guarantee it. All right. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, seen Transformers 1 through 4 once. I never saw 5 and I can't wait to see Bumblebee twice. Well, yeah. First of all, with all the trash talking I do on the Transformers franchise, it is important for me to remind everybody that I did love the first one. I really did. I love the first one. And then everyone after that was just an abomination against nature and all that is good. Like every other Transformers movie sucks. Anyway, hence my incredible pleasant surprise with Bumblebee. And you're hearing a lot of people. And look, it's not doing great at the box office. But look, I told you guys months ago, don't expect Bumblebee to do great at the box office. It's just got too much baggage attached to it with the abysmal nature of all the other Transformers movies. It has a huge uphill battle to fight. There are a lot of people that were not going to go and give this movie a shot. Understandably so, because they've gone to a couple of Transformers movies and they all sucked. So it was a tough job. It was a tough thing. The best Paramount could hope to do with Bumblebee is break even, but more importantly, make it good so people like it so that you can reestablish the franchise. And on that level, it's mission accomplished. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a movie that loses money, even though the critics and the fans who are seeing it are really enjoying it and really love it. What is the critic rating right now? It was in the 90s the last I checked. Bumblebee, Rotten Tomatoes. The last I checked, it was in the 90s, or like 93 or something. And yes, it's still at 93. It's got a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes. That doesn't mean it's one of the best movies of the year, but it does mean there's a really good chance you're going to like it if you see it. May not be the best movie of the year, but there's a really good chance you're going to like it if you give it a shot. All right. Ant Banks writes, that scene in Spider-Man Homecoming when Michael Keaton's character knows Peter is Spider-Man when taking them to the prom and confronts Peter, chills. I'll tell you what gave me even more and by the way, that scene, Ant Banks, is amazing. That scene is just flat out amazing. But I'll tell you what gave me even more chills was the perfect way they set it up when Peter shows up to pick the girl up for the prom and Michael Keaton answers the door. When I will never forget being in the movie theater, seeing that movie for the first time, and that audience, when Michael Keaton opens that door, you almost suffocated because you could feel all the air being sucked out of the room. Because everybody gasped at the same time, like, like totally. And everybody did it all at once. If there was a balloon floating in the air, the balloon would have went and fallen to the ground because everybody sucked all the air out of the room in one big inhale and gasp. It was awesome. It was such a wonderfully orchestrated scene and such a wonderfully orchestrated shot. I just adored it. And yes, all the stuff that comes after that gave chills, and the whole movie is great. But it was that moment, man, that really gave me my chills. That's the one that gave me my chills. Anyway, Victor Watson writes, Hey, John, glad to see you took a break. Spend time with your family. And you might be asking, well, how much of a break are you taking for working? I know. But at least I'm here in Canada, hanging out at the ranch, spending time with family and having a good time. And thank you for the well wishes, man. You know what I should do? I'm going to take, I think I'll take my phone and I'll do a little video tour of the Campea Ranch. And then on maybe on an open mic in the next day or two, I'll play that back and let you guys just have a little bit of a tour. You might actually be able to hear some of the dogs barking outside there right now. But thank you for that, Victor. I appreciate that, man. All right. Rami J. Royster writes, love Bumblebee. I found myself reveling in the 80s, listening to the soundtrack. This finally gets me excited to see more Transformers. And see, that's the thing, Rami. It has been forever since we've heard people saying that coming out of a Transformers movie. Generally speaking, you're coming out of a Transformers movie and going, I want to gouge my eyes out. It has been forever. But now, for the first time in years, you have people coming out of a Transformers movie like yourself, like me, and like others going, man, now I can't wait to see another Transformers movie. And that is no small feat. Now they got to get more people into the theater to see this one to change their minds about the franchise. Again, the problem is they've got a big uphill battle they've got to go through. And again, the soundtrack, I have a friend of mine, her name's Dorina, big music fanatic. And it was the soundtrack that she wasn't even sure she wanted to go see Bumblebee. But it's during the soundtrack's playing and they play each new song. She kind of turns to me and she goes, okay, now I'm into this movie. Just because of the soundtrack, right? It does a lot to hook a lot of people. All right. Victor Watson writes, I've been on shutdown from work. Oh, sorry to hear about that, Victor. I got on Amazon and watched Ready Player One and enjoyed it. You know what's funny? On my flight, I flew Air Canada from LAX to Toronto Pearson International Airport. And on that flight, Air Canada is one of those airlines that they have a full entertainment unit built into the back of every chair. So you got a full entertainment unit. You've got a selection of about 30 new release movies, not like currently in theater, but just recently were in theater and all that kind of stuff. And some slightly older ones. And I rewatched, what did I rewatch? I rewatched Venom on the way back. But at any rate, even though I own it. So why did I watch it on the plane? I don't know. Seemed like a good way to kill the time. But there were no less than 2 people that I could see who were watching, because one of the movies that was an option for them was Ready Player One. And there was at least 2 people watching that. Now, I haven't watched that movie since it came out earlier this year. And I caught myself looking over at their chairs and their things and reliving that. Man, I had so much. And I'm one of the, I had never read Ready Player One. So I never had any preconceived notions. I never had any pre-existing expectations. Just, hey, Ready Player One, watch this. I loved Ready Player One. Good sci-fi action adventure film. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the story was great. I thought the pacing was perfect. I mean, what do you expect from a Steven Spielberg movie? But yeah, man, I really, really enjoyed that one a lot. And it was so cool sitting down, watching other people, like total strangers, popping on Ready Player One and finding myself getting kind of immersed, watching their unit from across the aisle and getting into it. I had a lot of fun with that movie, man. Like, and all the various pop cultural cameos that popped up in there, like seeing Godzilla fighting Iron Giant. When else are you going to see that? Like, when else are you going to see King Kong or Godzilla fighting the Iron Giant? And the Chucky cameo. Probably the best Chucky appearance in any movie ever. That includes Chucky movies. The Chucky cameo and the little line the guy says, gold. But I found the whole movie was full of that. And I thought the artistic design of the characters, because they're supposed to be avatars, I thought they looked brilliant and great. And I just had a hell of a lot of fun with it. And the whole Shining references in it, I thought that was great too. So anyway, Victor, I'm glad you saw it and I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I had a hell of a good time with it too. And I hope you're able to get back to work soon, man. I hope you're able to get back to work soon. All right. Aunt Banks writes, what was your breakdancing name? Why is everybody on my breakdancing name? Well, my breakdancing name was not Jazzy JC. No, I was part for a short time of a group of guys that called ourselves the Zodiac Crew. And each one of us gave ourselves a nickname after our zodiac sign. And because my birthday is in February, my zodiac sign is Pisces. I went by Pisces. In hindsight, not a strong name choice. Pisces is not a strong name choice, yet that was my name. Please don't start referring to me as Pisces. I know a bunch of you are going to start referring to me as Pisces. I'm just begging you not to at this point. All right. Rami J. Royster writes, Suffering Succotash. What made you say that? I mean, yes, the great characters, of course, but I mean, why did you bring that up? Suffering Suck. Now that's going to be stuck in my head all day. Thanks a lot for that, Rami. Zaya writes, John, please tell me you have seen Roma. I have seen Roma. Talked about it a little bit earlier. I was bored. Now, look, the most important thing in the world to me is to always be honest with you guys. Even when I know that whatever my opinion happens to be is not going to be popular. Because if nothing else, I need you guys to know that when I say what my opinion is, you can agree with my opinion or disagree with it, but at least you'll always know I'm being honest with you. Everybody is saying Roma is one of the greatest films of all time, and I wish I felt the same way so I can be cool. The reality is, I was bored with Roma. And about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour into it, I'm watching it on Netflix. I started fast forwarding little parts. Just, okay, we're in this scene. I start fast forwarding on Netflix just till they get to the next scene. And then I start watching again and I start fast forwarding. It was just, didn't work for me. But you know, we're saying that all the time. There are great movies that don't work for everybody. There are horrible movies that some people love. That's the subjectivity of film. And unfortunately, like normally when these movies come out and people rave about it, I usually really like them. But this wasn't one of those circumstances, and I wish I could say it was, but I got to be honest, and I know some of you people are going to say, well, if you don't like Roma, then you don't have good taste in movies. But, you know, I just got to be honest. I could play the game that everybody else plays and just say what you want to hear, but I got to be honest. And I wish I liked it. I wish I could rave about it like everybody else is raving about it. And I'm not putting anybody else down who loves it. It took a master's hand to make that movie, and I can appreciate that. It just didn't work for me, and that's okay. Victor Watson writes, I watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, totally loved it. Top 3, number 3 on my top 10 list. I'm telling you what, I still can't believe how good that movie is. I'm still in disbelief how good that movie is. I've seen it 3 times now. And every time I watch it, I just walk out going, I can't believe how good that is. In an era, in a year that we had Black Panther, in a year that we had Avengers Infinity War, neither of them are the best comic book movie of the year. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the best comic book movie of the year. Now, it's all up to opinion and interpretation, of course, but for me, and color me shocked, because I was against this film when they first announced it. I thought it was a bad idea. I didn't like the trailer. Not the first one, at any rate. I didn't like the animation style. I'm still not thrilled with the animation style, but a lot of other people like it. That's fine. But as a movie, it's the best comic book movie of the year. It's the best animated movie of the year. And forget all that. It's just one of the best movies of the year. Cannot believe how good that movie is. And I'm glad you enjoyed it, Victor. All right. Zaya writes, why is Christmas your number 1 day of the year? Well, I mean, for a number of reasons. I keep saying, you know, my absolute favorite day of the year is Christmas. My second favorite day of the year is the Oscars. I think for a couple things. There's spiritual significance to Christmas, but Christmas also just means family. My favorite family traditions were always around Christmas, including, like, I come from a very big Italian family. And every Christmas, we didn't do it this year, but every Christmas, traditionally, like especially when I was a little bit younger, up until just recently, my grandparents are a little bit old at this point to be hosting the big family get together, but up till just a couple of years ago, the big family tradition was the whole extended family, my dad, his 5 siblings, their families, all that kind of stuff, all converge on my grandparents' house. And we have like the 7-course Italian meal. It's my favorite meal of the year too. And all that kind of stuff. And now there's even added significance because Christmas kind of for me represents when I get to see my family. I get to come home, spend time with my mom and dad. So it's taken on. So there's spiritual significance to it. There's family significance to it. And there's just great memory significance to it. And there's just something about the spirit of giving and you know, for a small window of time, encouraging each other to take our eyes off ourselves and put them onto other people. And there's just so many good things about Christmas. I love Christmas. I love Christmas. That doesn't mean you need to. That's fine. But yeah, for me, Christmas is my favorite day of the year. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, loved Red Skull's speech in front of the Valkyrie. with the glass of wine on hand in Captain America, the first Avenger. It was pure supervillain / Bond villain effect and absolutely gorgeous. Captain America, the First Avenger is a tragically underrated movie. It really is. And you know what? I did, me and Kyle Newman, I was on Kyle Newman's podcast once, and we just specifically talked about Captain America, the First Avenger. And I remember talking about, this is probably one of the most, other than Thor Ragnarok. Sorry, the first Thor film, not Thor Ragnarok, the first Thor film. Captain America, the First Avenger is probably the most underrated MCU movie, besides the first Thor. The first Thor is the most underrated comic book movie of all time. That aside, though, the next up for the MCU is Captain America, First Avenger. That movie is so tragically underrated, it's crazy. And Hugo Weaving as Red Skull is just one of the reasons for that. And you're right, that whole scene, cut off one head, two shall take its place. I can't even pretend to do his amazing accent that he did in that. Hugo Weaving is just a treasure. But unfortunately, even Hugo Weaving couldn't save Mortal Engines, which was just terrible. But yeah, Sebastian Stan as Bucky, Chris Evans as Cap, Hugo Weaving. It was just Tommy Lee Jones. It's such a good movie. Seriously, a lot of people talk about Captain America First Avenger and they just kind of throw it into the bottom, near the bottom of the list of MCU films. I'm telling you what, go back and watch that movie again. Go back and watch Captain America First Avenger again. I think you'll agree that you'll go, wow, no, that was better than I remember. I think a lot of you will go, that was better than I remember. At least I hope you do. All right, let's move on here. Leo Milmet writes, if Avengers 4 really were subtitled Ass Pimple 97, what would its opening weekend be? 200 million? I'll tell you exactly what its opening weekend would be. If the name of Avengers 4 was Avengers Ass Pimple 97, its box office would be the exact same as Avengers Endgame is going to be. Sorry, it's true. It's true. It would have the exact same box. Now, this is a little bit of a different situation because this is an ongoing franchise. Everybody knows what to expect from another Avengers movie. Everybody's already excited about Avengers. You can name it whatever you want, and it's going to be fine. But yes, I believe wholeheartedly, Leo, that if Avengers 4 were subtitled Ass Pimple 97, it would make the exact same amount of money, not one dime more, not one dime less than Endgame is going to make it. The only title that they could have given Avengers 4 that would increase the box office just by its title would be Avengers Enter Batman and Superman. If the name of the next Avengers movie was Avengers Enter Superman and the Batman, that may increase your box office just by the title. But anything other than that is going to be exactly the same. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, a thought. I know people didn't like Venom for a variety of reasons, and that's fine. But to me, it was fun, entertaining, and just unique enough that it was all I asked for in the first place. I mean, look, I agree. Now, look, one doesn't negate the other. See, look, some people are not sophisticated enough as film fans to understand that you can acknowledge there are bad things in a movie and yet still like it, and yet still think it's good. We live in a 10 or 0 society today where something that's remotely good, 10, it's 10 out of 10, it's 10. If something is slightly bad, 0, it's the worst thing ever. And that's just kind of the mentality a lot of film fans have, unfortunately. When in reality is, you can like a movie and still acknowledge, but it did this wrong, it did that wrong. Like, I have no problem saying Venom had a very disjointed, slow, lack of pace first act that may have lost a lot of people in the first act, not a very compelling villain, few moments I would have taken out. And I can say all that and still say, but at the end of the day, I thought this was an entertaining, fun movie that it's a winner. There are just some people that like this film that refuse to say anything negative about it or acknowledge there was anything wrong with it. And as film fans, we got to be able to do both. Look, I can talk about the prequels, the Star Wars prequels, which I hate, but I can sit here and tell you about some great things in the prequels. I can talk to you all day about the pod race scene. I love the pod race scene for a number of different reasons, and I could go on for an hour about why. Obviously, the Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul lightsaber fight. Obviously, I could go on about that. I like the opening of The Phantom Menace when, they arrive as ambassadors at first and go through that whole action sequence. I can sit here and talk to you all day about certain things that I liked about the prequels, even though I don't like the prequels. I can also sit here and talk to you about another Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. I can sit here and talk to you all day. I like The Last Jedi. I thought Last Jedi was a bold, different kind of movie, and I enjoyed it, and I thought it was really well put together. But guess what? I can still sit here and talk to you all day about the things that I thought they blew in it. The Benicio del Toro character, I can talk about that all day. I could talk about the whole Canto Bight stuff with the whole Casino World thing and each thing in the Casino World thing that I thought was a total waste. I could talk to you all day about that. And yet at the end of the day, still say, but I still think the good outweighed the bad, and I thought this was a good movie. And that's the problem, I think, with a lot of film fandom today. Everything's either a 10 or a 0. We got to be able to engage and discuss as film. We'll get a lot more. I think we'll get a lot more out of our film fandom if we engage. Hey, a film I didn't like? Yeah, but I can tell you the things that were good about it. Film I really didn't like? I can tell you things that were good about it. Movies I hated? I can tell you things that I liked about it. Movie I love? Talk about things I didn't like. We got to be able to do that as film fans. And I think we'll get a lot more and a lot more enjoyment out of our film fandom if we start embracing it on that level. But that's just me. I assume because you put 1/2, you've got another thing to say, Angry Irish, so we'll probably get to that in just a minute. All right. Victor Watson writes, Aquaman is doing pretty good at the box office. Even though I have no desire to see it, I'm glad it's doing well. It's doing really well. It's not just doing well. It's doing really well. And I'll tell you what, Victor, I cannot guarantee you will like Aquaman. I cannot guarantee it. It has flaws. It does. And for some people, the flaws will outweigh the positives. I think the positives well outweigh the flaws. I think this is a fun, entertaining comic book movie. And like I said, I've seen it 3 times, and I could tell you the negatives, sure. So I can't guarantee you'll like it, but I really do think you should give it a shot, Victor. I really do think you should give it a shot. I mean, talk to a couple of people who you trust their opinions on. And if they hate it, then wait for it to come out on video. But if they like it, I would say roll the dice, take a Wednesday evening, run out to the theater and check it out. Because I think you might have a good time with it. Maybe not. I can't guarantee it, but I think maybe you will. All right. Leo Milmet writes, who's the worst director of all time? Well, that depends. Do you mean like out of any indie director ever? Do you mean out of the big Hollywood directors ever? I don't know. I mean, you have to sit down and think that out. I know a lot of people, the name Uwe Boll will come to mind for a lot of people. I understand why. There's actually a little bit of method behind that man's madness, though. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, there are directors I like and directors I don't like, but just because I don't like them doesn't mean they're the worst. So I don't know I can put a label on somebody as the worst director of all time. I don't know that I can do that. All right. Ethan's Tech World writes, have you seen Transformers Prime TV show? Great. I will say this. There are so many Transformers shows. I can't remember which one Prime was. I do know this. I've never liked any of the Transformers shows other than the original series. I didn't even like Beast Wars. I know there are a lot of people who love Transformers Beast Wars, and that's great. I was not a fan of Beast Wars, and that's fine. I'm not sitting here talking crap about it. I'm just saying it didn't work for me. So I haven't really liked any of the Transformers TV series other than the original G1 series. But again, that's just me. No big deal. Okay. Alexander Olafsson writes, is the movie Gods and Monsters worth watching? Yes. God, yes. Now, hold on a second here. Let me just 100% make sure, because sometimes I confuse Gods and Monsters with another movie. So let me just make sure I'm 100% that I'm 100% talking about the right movie. Because I'm thinking of the one from the late 90s, but the one with Ian McKellen. And I'm just waiting for this to pop up here. And come on. Yes, Gods and Monsters, Ian McKellen, Brendan Fraser. I like the movie a lot. Now, it's funny because not everybody does. It doesn't have the best critic rating in the world, if I remember correctly. Let me just pull up the critic rating here. So I don't remember it being great. And Monsters, Rotten Tomatoes. Let's just see what they have to say about it. Rotten Tomatoes gives it a rating of, oh no, I'm completely wrong about that, 95%. For some reason, I thought the critics didn't like it nearly as much as I did. I like the movie quite a bit. So yes, by all means, if you're just wondering if you should check it out, Alexander, yeah, check it out. I think you might enjoy it. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, if Sony makes its other spider character movies stick the landing, I'm curious to see what it might mean for how we assess superhero film quality. Well, I don't really think it'll change how we assess superhero film quality. But what it does for me, Angry Irish Benjamin, I believe 2018 marked the year that a lot of people owe Sony an apology. Because for the last couple of years, you know, and look, I get it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was not all that good. Let's be kind. Was not all that good. Let's be kind. I didn't think it was the tragic dumpster fire that a lot of people make The Amazing Spider-Man 2 out to be, but it is clearly a big dip in quality. For sure. And there are a lot of people who just thought it was horrible. I get it. I do. I understand. But here's the thing. In our 10-10-10 or 0-0-0 mentality, we also have no memory. We have zero memory retention. Because I remember I would argue, like everyone would say, Sony doesn't know what they're doing. I'm like, guys, Sony knows what they're doing. No, they don't. They made The Amazing Spider-Man 2. It's like, okay, look, I get it. They made The Amazing Spider-Man 2, yes. And they made Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, yes. But you know what else they made? They made Raimi's Spider-Man 1. They made Spider-Man 2, which for a while some people considered to be the greatest comic book movie of all time. Only up for a few years, but still, it's for me, it's still in the top 10 best comic book movies ever made. Spider-Man 2 is still in my top 10 comic book movies of all time list. It made The Amazing Spider-Man 1, and that movie's great. Is it as good as Spider-Man 2? No, but The Amazing Spider-Man 1, the first with Andrew Garfield, I think that's a great movie. And I know Stan Lee loved that film. He talked a lot about that movie. He loved that movie. And it was one of the very, very few comic book movies that made me actually buy into a superhero romance story between Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone. I thought they worked great as Peter and Gwen. I thought it was great. And it's like, yes, they did The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but they also made these other ones. And I would argue they made more good ones than bad ones. Let's give this Venom movie a shot. Now, granted, I wasn't being so optimistic about Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, but I was saying, but let's give this Venom thing a shot. This could work. And it did. A comic book movie that was neither MCU nor DC, and it made over $850 million at the box office and pleased a lot, not everybody, but it pleased a hell of a lot of the audience. So they did that and did a great job with it. And then they come out with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse that some idiots, like this guy sitting right here, doubted. I doubted Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And it is simply one of the best motion pictures of the year. Not just best comic book movie, not just best animated, one of the best, but one of the overall best movies of the year. In a year that produced Venom and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I will call it. I proclaim 2018 the year that the audience owes Sony an apology. Or at least take a step back to reevaluate, because now you've got 5 winner comic book films versus 2 that weren't. Now you got Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, The Amazing Spider-Man, you got Venom, and you got Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And yes, they did Spider-Man 3, and yes, they did The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but clearly one way outweighs the other. Sony is a company that deserves a little bit of the benefit of the doubt at this point. And you know what's funny? Even though they crushed it with Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, and even though they just made a winner with Venom, there are still people, and I got to admit, I'm one of them, and I don't know why. There are still people who just roll our eyes and start with doubt when we start talking about Morbius, the living vampire. Ugh, that's a bad idea. I mean, that's what I said. And yet we're forgetting, hey, this is the same studio that just made that Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse thing work, and they just made the Venom thing work, and they did all those other ones that worked. Maybe it's time we start giving them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. All right. Zaya writes, Hope you had a Merry Christmas, John. I did, as a matter of fact. Thank you so much for asking, Zaya. A Quiet Place, Roma, and Spider-Verse are all my top 3 films of the year, and I hope they receive Oscar glory. What movies do you hope receive Oscar glory this year? Well, the one that really stands out for me, first of all, I would love to see A Quiet Place and Spider-Verse. Again, Roma didn't work for me. It's going to get Oscar glory. It's going to get a lot of Oscar buzz. How much it wins, who knows, but it's going to get a lot of Oscar buzz, even though it's not one of my favorites of the year. But definitely those two. I would love to see, it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. But I would love to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with the Best Picture nomination. I would love it. Absolutely love to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse with the Best Picture nomination. I think it's completely deserved. I think it 100% deserves it. I think it 100% is worthy of it. But I don't think it will. The other one is A Quiet Place. And again, I have my doubts that A Quiet Place will get a Best Picture nomination, even though for me it is the best film of the year so far. And you know what? No, I just take out so far. I've seen every film this year now. So yeah, it's the best. To me, it's the best film of the year. But, last year, my best film of the year was Logan, and it did not get a Best Picture nomination. It totally deserved it. It was the best movie of the year, and it did not get it. So that could happen again with A Quiet Place. I think people may overlook Quiet Place, and they're going to overlook John Krasinski for the direct. I think John Krasinski, I'm not going to say he should win Best Director, but I think John Krasinski deserves a Best Director nomination. When you look what he had to do with that movie, it's remarkable what he achieved with so little dialogue. Amazing work. Amazing work. So, yeah, those are the ones that really stand out to me. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin follows up. You are a vain, greedy, talking about Thor. You are a vain, greedy, cruel boy. And you are an old man and a fool. Yes, I was a fool to think you were ready. By the way, Merry Christmas, one of the great lines from Thor. Thor, the original Thor, is a movie about fathers and sons. And that's one of the reasons, that's one of the brilliant things that director Kenneth Branagh did with that movie. And one of the reasons why I love it so much. That when you really boil it down, Thor is a movie about fathers and sons. Not just one son, not just Thor, it's Thor and Loki, and each of them with their very different perception of their relationship with their father. And it's brilliant on that level, and I love it. And thank you for sharing that quote, Angry Irish. I love that. All right, Senpaigar writes, what did you think of Nightcrawler? I loved it and thought Jake and Riz were great. Bill Paxton was good in it too. Jake plays a nice /jerk/ out for himself character, all rolled in one. Nightcrawler's great. And let's be honest. There were a lot of people, including me, there were a lot of people who raised more than a few eyebrows when Jake Gyllenhaal did not get nominated for Best Actor for his role in Nightcrawler. Now, if I remember correctly, it was a stacked year. Let me just pull it up here. I remember that year was a stacked year. It was I believe it was the 2015 Academy Awards, because I think Nightcrawler came out in 2014. Yes, Nightcrawler came out in 2014. So that meant it was all surrounding the 2015. Where are my awards lists here? Hold on a second. Let me find it. Here we go. Okay, so Nightcrawler did get one Oscar nomination. It was for Best Original Screenplay by Dan Gilroy. Did not get that. And that was 2015. Here, who were the actors that were nominated for Best Actor? Eddie Redmayne for The Theory of Everything. Obviously, he won that year. So, yeah, there you go. Benedict Cumberbatch for The Imitation Game. Totally deserved a nomination for that. Bradley Cooper for American Sniper. Totally deserved it. Michael Keaton for Birdman. A lot of people thought he should have won for that. Totally deserved it. The only spot then that became iffy, like maybe you could have put in Jake Gyllenhaal here, because I wouldn't have bumped out Michael Keaton. I wouldn't have bumped out Bradley Cooper. I wouldn't have bumped out Benedict for his role in The Imitation Game, because he was great in that. And I certainly wouldn't have bumped out Eddie Redmayne, who won the Academy Award that year. Is Stephen Carell for Foxcatcher. And that's hard to say because Stephen Carell was great in Foxcatcher. He was amazing. Actually, there were some people who thought he maybe even should have won for Foxcatcher. So, dudes, that was a stacked year. Steve Carell, Foxcatcher. Bradley Cooper, American Sniper. Eddie Redmayne, Theory of Everything. Benedict Cumberbatch, The Imitation Game. Probably his best performance he's ever given. And Michael Keaton in Birdman, maybe the best performance he's ever given. That was a stacked year. And in that stacked year, Gyllenhaal did not get a Best Actor nomination for Nightcrawler. Caught a lot of people by surprise. Caught me by surprise. It's there are a number of things he deserved to get nominated for. That certainly stands out at the forefront. But yes, Nightcrawler was great. Nightcrawler was excellent. All right, let's see. Victor Watson writes, I've seen Jeremy John's top 10 list for 2018 and Grace Randolph's top 10 as well. Can't wait to see yours. Yeah, I will do mine on either. I think New Year's Eve, I'm doing my John Campea Filthy Awards, the Filthies for the John Campea Show Awards. I'm going to do a live stream announcing my winners for the Filthies. Forget the Oscars. The studios don't care about the Oscars. The studios don't care about the Golden Globes. They certainly don't give a shit about the Broadcast Film Critics Society or the National Board of Review. They don't care about that. What the studios are waiting for is for John Campea to announce the winners of the Filthies. That's what they're waiting for. And I will do a little announcement about that. And then probably the day after that, I will do my top 10 films of the year. A little bit of a spoiler. A Quiet Place is going to be number one. But there, I just gave away a spoiler. Quiet Place is my number one film of the year. But what else is on that top 10 list? You'll have to wait and see. It is coming very soon. Thanks for asking, Victor. All right. Senpaigar writes, WALL-E was a great movie. It truly was. And the most accurate future I've seen on film for mankind. Well, look, Senpaigar, let's back up a little bit. First of all, I am with you. WALL-E is fabulous. I love WALL-E. And I do love the vision of the future it gives. But for you to call it the most accurate vision of the future, the only way you can say that is if you actually are a time traveler and you have come back from the future, which I'm going to go out on a limb and guess you have not. So, while I am completely with you that WALL-E is a treasure of a sci-fi movie, it's an absolute treasure of a sci-fi movie. I love that film. It's sweet, it's endearing, but it's also very funny, and it is a great vision of what the future could look like. To call it the most accurate vision of the future is kind of a fool's errand because we don't know what the future really looks like, so we can't really say that. But I'm with you, man. It's a great movie. It's totally great. One of Pixar's best. All right. Now I Get Likes writes, when are you playing Spider-Man again? As soon as I get home. Once I get back. And as a matter of fact, it's no longer going to be just me playing Spider-Man. Because I've been doing play-in chats with Spider-Man. It's going to be me and Ann. So me and Ann. So I'll be playing and Ann will be reading your comments. And really, I shouldn't call it play-in chat. I should call the video, Help John Play Spider-Man. Because if you guys watching my play-in chats with me playing Spider-Man, you see me fumbling my way through. And a lot of you guys are trying to tell me how to play. So I'm thinking maybe I'd just call it Help John Play Spider-Man. So I'll be playing and Ann will be reading off a bunch of comments. And then we'll probably switch up and Ann will play and I'll read off comments. It's going to be a lot of fun. But yes, I'm going to do that once we get back home. So I get back home around January 5th or 6th. And once we do get home, we'll start playing some more play-in chats. Thanks for asking about that. Now I get likes. I appreciate that. Ben Hayusa writes, I love Bumblebee last night. Best Transformers movie in a long time. Seeing Aquaman tonight. Back-to-back great movies, it seems. And again, like I said, I think Bumblebee's the better film. But for me, a back-to-back night of Bumblebee and Aquaman, great night. Even better, if you can make it a triple feature and either in all in one night or over 3 nights, see Bumblebee, Aquaman, and Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse, because they're all in theaters right now. That is a trifecta win right there. It's a good time to be a film fan right now because there's some really, really good movies, some very entertaining movies in theaters right now. Glad you like Bumblebee. I think you'll have a good time with Aquaman. But if you haven't seen it yet, Ben, make sure you squeeze in an opportunity to see Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse because I think you'll have a good time with that one as well. All right, let's move on here. Randall Guzik writes, are you surprised by the box office results of Aquaman, Bumblebee, and Mary Poppins? The only one I'm surprised at is Aquaman. Aquaman's doing better than I thought. Bumblebee, Mary Poppins, I always believed, there are two things about Mary Poppins. I've been saying for a while, Aquaman will win the opening weekend. Mary Poppins will have the longer legs and will make more money in the long run. But then I saw Mary Poppins. And Mary Poppins is good. And Emily Blunt is ridiculously good in the lead role. Mary Poppins Returns is good. I'll be honest, it's not great. It's absolutely not in my top 10 of the year. I don't think it's in my top 20. I think it's just one of those, yeah, that's a nice movie. I found nothing special or enduring other than Emily Blunt's performance, which is mind-boggling and award-worthy. I really don't find anything special or enduring about the movie itself, to be quite frank with you. And I think you're hearing a lot of people coming out of the theaters with that saying, I don't think Mary Poppins. See, I thought Aquaman would win the opening weekend, but, Mary Poppins, being more of a family movie, which is not the movie that people, like Aquaman's the type of movie people rush out to see opening weekend, right? These are the types of movies that opening weekends is when everybody goes to see. Movies like Mary Poppins, not so much. So I believed that Aquaman would have the bigger opening weekend, and then in the long run, Mary Poppins with word of mouth, positive buzz, long legs, all that kind of stuff would ultimately surpass Aquaman. But then I saw Mary Poppins. And I know I'm not going to go back and watch it a second time. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good movie. It's good. It's a good film. I think you will enjoy yourself if you go see it. But it's not the type of good that is going to get the big repeat viewings, that is going to get people dragging their friends to the theaters to go see, that is going to do all that kind of stuff, that's going to give it exceptionally long legs. I don't believe that anymore. After I saw the film, I don't believe it anymore. So wasn't surprised by the opening of Mary Poppins. Wasn't surprised by the opening of Bumblebee. Again, we've been saying forever that Bumblebee has too much of a big uphill battle to fight. The average movie-going audience equates the name Transformers with garbage. And so they've got a long way to change that perception. But I was surprised, not massively, but I'm a bit surprised by how well Aquaman has done up to this point. How good of legs, does it have the legs to get to 800 million? I don't know. I said for a long time I didn't think it would get to 800 million, but then again I never thought Venom would get to 800 million, and look how that turned out. So not really surprised by Bumblebee or Mary Poppins, a little bit surprised by Aquaman, in a good way for the results for Aquaman. All right. Chris Warden writes, so glad that Macaulay Culkin has been able to turn his life around. Yeah, me too, man. I can only imagine what it was like for that guy growing up, being just 9 years old and the biggest movie star in the world. There are some documentaries, Chris, about, it's not just Macaulay Culkin. Child stars face, it's not a coincidence that so many child stars grow up so screwed up. They face challenges and hurdles that a lot of us could only ever imagine. They have some advantages in life, yes, but even those advantages that they get pose very radical challenges for them later. And there are some documentaries about child stars just gone wrong. It is really good, especially when we heard for so many years about all the crap going on with Macaulay Culkin. It is really nice to see a guy like that come out on the other side of it. So let's just keep having good, positive thoughts for a dude like that, and hope he just... By the way, have you seen that Where's McAllister Now video he has up on that's out there right now? It's very fun. Check it out if you haven't had a chance to see that yet. Thanks for your thoughts on that, Chris. All right. Go Robot writes, have you seen the recent Kevin Spacey video as Frank Underwood? What was that all about? I did. What was it all about? Look, all I'm going to say is this. I will admit to being riveted to the screen when I was watching it. I will admit that. That as it was playing, I was riveted to it. I was. What was the point of it? What's he trying to accomplish? Does he think this will change public perception of him right now? I don't know. I don't know. And how do I feel about all those things? I don't know about that either. He's been accused of some really monstrous stuff. Like some really monstrous stuff. And to hell with Kevin Spacey if those things are true. Was this video his way of saying, don't believe all the stuff you're hearing? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Again, all I can say is I will admit that once I hit play on that video to see what it was about, I was kind of riveted to it. But what does it mean? Does it change anything? I mean, I don't know. That's all stuff that's way beyond my pay scale. That's all stuff way beyond my pay scale, I got to admit. All right. Big Vic 5BN writes, how and why are we getting 3 Little Mermaid movies? I remember there were 2. One then got canceled. I don't know. I know Disney's doing one. At least they keep saying they're doing one. Then there was another one, I think Guillermo del Toro was involved in getting another one put together, but then I thought I heard that one had its plug pulled, and I don't know what the third one is you're talking about. So bottom line is I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the status of the Little Mermaid stuff is right now. Royce Freeman writes, I heard Fox deal could be closed in January. No, that was wrong. Anyway, I heard Fox deal could be closed in January. Chances for credits seem to be added in the upcoming Marvel. No. First of all, no, you did not hear. There were some people who so tragically mislabel things in their headlines, and then you have the other problem where people just read headlines and don't actually read the articles to see what the information is. A Fox executive told some remaining Fox people that he believed all the details would be done in January. That does not mean the deal is closed in January, because the government is still not expected to give final approvals to the deal. And this thing is not done until the government gives final approvals to the deal until mid-2019. But some people took that quote, never bothered reading what it meant, and just ran, Fox says the deal is going to be closed in January. No, it's not. No, it's not. They believe all the I's will be dotted, the T's will be crossed, but then there's still the whole thing about the government approval. That is a big part of this. And that, even in those articles, if you bother to read them, even in those articles it writes, they're still not expected to get final government approval until at least the second quarter of 2019. So it's still a little ways off. It's coming, but it's still a little ways off. Let's see. Connor B. And by the way, Royce, one other thing. Let's say they did close it in January. Is Marvel that pathetic? And is Marvel that stupid that they go to hell with quality? Let's just shoehorn something in. Oh, we got the X-Men now. Oh, let's put Wolverine in the end credits of Captain Marvel for some reason. The thing about Kevin Feige is he is a mastermind. He plans and charts these things out, and he's not going to be a reaction. Wait, we close a deal. Okay, let's put in Galactus into the end credits scene. That's not how Kevin Feige does business, nor is it how he should do business. It's not how he does, and it's not how he should do business. He's not just going to frantically flop something in there just for the hell of having something there. That's how bad studios do things. That's how unprepared studios do things. That's how reactionary studios do. It ain't the way how Kevin Feige does it. Ain't the way Kevin Feige does. So no, I'm going to say no to that. All right. Connor B writes, thoughts on Lost in Translation. It's my favorite oat. Oh, your favorite of all time. Oh, I like Lost in Translation very much. It's not in my best movie of all time conversation. I mean, obviously directed by Sofia Coppola, who did a magnificent job. She actually turned out to be a really good little director. That, by the way, Lost in Translation was not just a fluke for Sofia Coppola. She's a fine little director. She really is. Obviously, Bill Murray, it was a resurgence for Bill Murray. All that kind of stuff. It's a very good movie. It's not in my conversation for all-time great, but it's a very good movie. Absolutely, it's a very good movie. All right, let's see here. Michael Jones writes, hey, John, you have talked before about the power of movies. Mary Poppins was the first movie my parents, oh, that's nice, took me to see. I remember how much my sisters and I loved, and my dad said it was my dad said it was boring. Dude, therein lies again the subjectivity of film, right? Mary Poppins is like one of the most wonderful, and I use that word very specifically. It's a wonderful film. By the way, if you appreciate Mary Poppins, watch the Tom Hanks, Colin Farrell film, Saving Mr. Banks. It gives you a whole different perspective about how that movie even came into being, how the Mary Poppins movie ever got made, and all the drama behind it, and it's magical. It really is. Make sure you check that out. But it's a great example. Like, your dad thought it was boring. Okay. It's one of the most beloved movies of all time, but that doesn't mean everybody's going to like it. And it doesn't mean that just because somebody doesn't like it, that they have bad taste. No, it just didn't work for them. And that's fine. But that's a special, like, 'cause I remember my earliest childhood memory is being like 5 or 6 and going to see Star Wars with my mom, right? And then I don't have another memory for about 4 or 5 years after that, to be honest with you. But I mean, to have a memory like that and have that type of a connection to a film like that, Michael, that's really special. Thank you for sharing that, man. I really appreciate that. I'd be very curious to know if you saw Mary Poppins Returns yet. And I'd be curious to know what your thoughts. I was not blown away by it. I liked it, but I didn't think it was great. But maybe you had a different experience. I'd be curious to know your thoughts on that, Michael. Email them to me sometime. I'd like to hear them. All right. Nerds of Porn writes, greetings, John. A friend and I are starting a podcast. Any advice on how to prepare and get going? Well, Nerds of Porn, I put up a video on YouTube. It's a 2-hour-long video. Simply search for John Campea Getting Started. And the very first result you should get, I'll tell you the name of it. Hold on a second. John Campea Getting Started. Okay. The very first thing that comes up, the video is called Getting Started in Online Film Talk on Your Own Blog, YouTube channel, or podcast. And it's not just about film. It's about anything you want to do. So it's the top result you'll find. It's a 2-hour video. I give some context about my personal experience. Then I go give some tips about equipment you should use, strategy. Now, granted, it's about 5 years old now. Yeah, it's about 5 years old now. It's going back a ways. I need to do a new version of it, to be honest with you. But that's the best piece of advice. Go check out that video. Hopefully, you'll find it helpful. And fire me off a note if you do find it helpful. I'd like to know. All right, DC Clem writes, happy holidays, John. Well, thank you so much, DC. Which Chevy Chase movie do you prefer, Christmas Vacation or Fletch? Oh, I love... It's funny. Somebody asked me the other day which was my favorite vacation movie, and actually, I prefer the original over Christmas. Fletch. I love Fletch. I think I like Fletch a lot more than some other people. What was the name of the guy from Scrubs? I cannot... Oh, what was the actor's name? Zach Braff. And Donald Faison was in it too. I loved that show. But I remember there was a period of time, this is going back years, but they were looking at getting a Fletch reboot done with Zach Braff, if I remember correctly, in the title role of Fletch. Yeah, man, I love Fletch. So as good as Christmas Vacation is, I will take Fletch. I think most people would probably take Christmas Vacation over Fletch. But like I said, I've got a massive soft spot for Fletch. I love Fletch, so I'm going to go with Fletch. Okay, let's see. What's next here? John DeMoto writes, how about them Browns 7 wins? Dude, and look, I'll say it again. Beginning of the year, I said, I am telling you what, this Browns team is a better Browns team than we've seen in years. They have got something there. I'm predicting at least 5 wins. They're going to get 5 wins this year. And all these people saying, stick to movies, Campea, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, children. Anyway, and now they're sitting at 7. And guess what? There is a mathematical, highly improbable, there's a mathematical possibility these guys can get in the playoffs. I mean, it's stupid. At least the last I heard, I thought there was still a mathematical possibility. But like, it's infinite, it's super, super small, but whatever. And they could play spoiler this week. They could beat the Ravens this week. Pittsburgh is cheering for them to beat the Ravens. I don't know that they're going to beat the Ravens, but dude, watch out for the Browns next year. If they do make some good moves this offseason, watch out for the Browns next. They could legitimately be a playoff contender. All right, let's see. Go Robot writes, I'm on the same boat with you about Blade Runner. Should be interesting on paper, but something about the screenplay and score that I just can't dig. Here's the funny thing for me. I'm not even really sure what it is about the original Blade Runner that didn't click with me. I don't think it's the score. I think the score is fine for me, and I think the screenplay is fine. I don't know. It's one of those movies that I've never been... It's all feel, right? It's all feel. I've never been able to quantifiably put my finger on what it is about Blade Runner that just doesn't quite click with me. I'm actually one of the few people that I preferred Blade Runner 2049 over the original Blade Runner. And I know that's a very unpopular sentiment, but it's how I felt. But it is interesting, Go Robot, that I've never quite been able, so I don't think though it was a screenplay, and I don't think it was a soundtrack, but maybe it was. Again, I've never been able to quite tangibilize it, you know? I've never been able to get a tangible feel and grip on what is it specifically about this movie that just doesn't work. It's just a feel thing. That's all I can really give you. All right. Sebastian writes, over under 79%, makes 1 billion Aquaman. I remain at 900 plus. I will take the under. I will take the well under on that. Then again, I've already been surprised by how much it makes, so who knows? And again, I'm the same guy who said Venom won't make 800 million. I said Venom can be successful, but I don't think it's going to make 100 million. 854. So take that for a grain of salt, but for now, Sebastian, I'll still take the under. All right. Beeper Beeper 5. I love that username, man. Beeper Beeper 5 writes, best trailer of the year. Oh, I'd have to think about it. Because sometimes I mix in my head what trailers came out that year. I know I love that one Aquaman trailer. That one Aquaman trailer was fantastic. The Godzilla trailer was great. I like the Shazam trailer a lot. The Green Book trailer. I might have to say the Green Book trailer. But don't hold me to that because I'd have to sit down and make out a list. And I clearly don't have time to do that right now. Off the top of my head, I will say that the best trailer of the year was Green Book. Off the top of my head. Again, don't hold me to that. If I actually did a video on best trailers of the year, I might say something else. I might say 2 or 3 above it, but off the top of my head, I will say Green Book. But again, don't hold me to that. All right. Final email of the day, or the final super chat today, came to us from Pirate King Victor, who writes, I like that name too. Hey, John, hope your vacation is going well. It is so far. Thank you so much. Saw Aquaman last night and thought with all the hype, I was going to be disappointed, but I freaking loved it. That's awesome, man. Again, it's not a top 10 movie of the year to me, but it's a win. And it's a win that Warner Brothers needed. And what's even more important, Robert Meyer Burnett and I were talking about this the other day. And we were talking about how I think, if anything, Aquaman should be a signpost for us film fans, conditioning us and readying us for the new direction that Walter Hamada is taking the DCEU. Very crowd-pleasing, exciting, entertaining, fun. And that seems to be what they're going for. And they went with it with Aquaman, and they did it well enough that despite some flaws with the movie, it ends up being a winner. And it ends up, I believe, being pretty crowd-pleasing. I know I had a good time with it. Again, I rank it above Ant-Man and the Wasp and above Venom. And I like those movies. But I rank Aquaman above those. And it's a win, and I'm glad you had a good time with it, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it, because I enjoyed it too. All right, everybody. That will do it for this installment of Open Mic. Again, this was a little bit of a weird open mic. I had to pre-record it because, again, we tried doing the show live earlier, had internet streaming problems, but it looks like I've got those internet streaming problems fixed out, which means tomorrow morning I should be able to do a live open mic again. Fingers crossed. Here, let's see what happens. If things go to crap again, I'll just take the questions and answer them again in a pre-recorded video. Hey guys, listen, that will do it for me. Thank you so much for being here and joining me. And I hope you guys have had a wonderful, magnificent holiday season so far. I hope a lot of you are still off work and enjoying some time with friends and family, or maybe just time by yourself, some glorious alone me time, relaxing, playing some video games, getting caught up on some reading, whatever it is that makes you enjoy yourself and relax. I hope that's what you're able to do. Anyway, guys, that'll do it for me for now. My name is John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.